What's up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. We got some bowls going on right now. It's been a great bowl season so far. Hopefully, everyone's having a nice holiday week here as we head into the new year on Sunday. Um, got two games going on right now. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Notre Dame leading number 16. Notre Dame leading number 19, I believe it is. Oregon State 33-0. We'll see if Oregon State get any points before the game ends there. Memphis currently beating Iowa State 19-13 in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl with 11 seconds to go. They just took their last time out trying to get points before the half as Iowa State gets the ball out of half. So let's talk about the other bowls that went down this week in between our shows. On Tuesday, we had the Quick Lane Bowl, Minnesota upsetting, not really because they were the favorites, kind of a upset though in the eyes of most. 30-24 over Bowling Green. The Golden Gophers, the only 5-win team to get to a bowl game this year. Cole Kramer got the start in this one. 8 of 16, 50%, just 26 yards, but he did score 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, and he had an interception, 3 carries, 31 yards, and a rushing score as well. So touchdown production there, not a lot of yards for Cole Kramer in this one. For the Falcons of Bowling Green, Connor Bazelak was the starter here, 21 of 36, 58.3%, 221, 1 touchdown, and a rushing score as well. Minnesota got a monster game from running back Darius Taylor, 35 carries, 208 yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions for 11 yards as well. Bowling Green wide receiver Odu Hilaire led the game in receiving. Big game for him as well. 10 receptions, 152 yards, and a touchdown. And then defensively, I'm going with the bottom guy there, Minnesota defensive lineman Ja Joyner. 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Minnesota minus 2.5 covered over 44.5. Servpro First Responder Bowl, Texas State rolling over Rice, 45-21. The Bobcats, Jimmy's Bobcats, getting a big win here in G.J. Kinney's first season at Texas State. T.J. Finley was pretty solid, 15 of 29, 51.7%, 152 yards. For Rice, they played 2 quarterbacks on the day. A.J. Paget most of the way, 10 of 21, 47.6%, 85 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions. Turnover laden day for the Rice offense. Shaki Itrache, he came in then 2 of 4, 50%, 19 yards, and 2 interceptions for him as well. Texas State running back Ismail Mahdi led the game in rushing, up over 100, 24 carries, 122 yards, 2 catches for minus 1 yard. You had a 2 touchdown day for Rice running back Dean Connors, 15 for 64. 2 touchdowns and a 8-yard reception. Leading the game in receiving was Rice tight end Elijah Maharo, 3 catches, 35 yards. And then how about the defense? 2 guys I want to highlight here. Texas State defensive end Ben Bell, I believe that's Levi Bell's brother. 8 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. And then monster day for Texas State linebacker Brian Holloway in his last game of his career. 6 tackles, 4 solos, 2 picks, both returned to the house, 1 from 36 yards, 1 from 48 yards. Memphis, by the way, tacking on a field goal there, a long one to end the half, 22-13, up by 9 at a half. Texas State minus 3.5 covers easily over 59.5. Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas, good win over UNLV, 49-36. Jason Bean, excellent day for him. I would say 19 to 28, 67.9%, 449 passing yards, 6 touchdowns. Did have through the 3 picks as the blemishes on his record, but 6 carries for 21 yards on the ground as well for being there. UNLV quarterback Jaden Mayava struggled a little bit, but all in all, pretty solid day. 24 of 35, 68.6%, 291, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 4 carries for 16 yards. Kansas running back Devin Neal led the game in rushing, 20 carries, 71 yards, touchdown, and a 3-yard catch. Big days, 200-yard receivers for the Jayhawks here. Wide receiver Luke Grimm, 4 catches, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns. And his teammate also with 3 scores. Wide receiver Lawrence Arnold, 6 catches, 132 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, I'm going to go with the guy with 2 interceptions, UNLV defensive back Cameron Oliver, 5 tackles, 4 solos, 1 pass deflection, and 2 picks. Looks like Oregon State is not going to get shut out in the Sun Bowl. They just scored 8 with apparently a direct snap to the offensive lineman for the 2-point conversion. Ben Gulbranson throwing a touchdown there, but still Notre Dame up 33-8 5 minutes ago in the 4th quarter. In this one, Kansas minus 8.5 covered, and the over 65.5 hit. That one had 85 in that one. On Wednesday, the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com. Virginia Tech, the Hokies, crushing Tulane, 41-20. A lot of opt-outs. Willie Fritz obviously gone to Houston, but great win for Coach Pry there, and the Hokies getting a winning record this season. Tulane, starting quarterback Kai Horton, 13-20, 65%, 119, 9 carries, 21 yards, rushing score, and a fumble. Quarterback Kyron Drones for Virginia Tech, 13-21, 61.9%, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns, but the legs. It was a wet game in this one in Annapolis, Maryland at the Naval Academy. 20 carries, 176 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble for the quarterback, the Hokies quarterback there. Excellent day on the ground for him. His running back also went over 100. Second leading rusher in the game, Virginia Tech running back Bashul Tootin. 18 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 19 yards. Leading the game in receiving was Tulane wide receiver Yulkeith Brown, 5 catches, 63 yards. And then defensively, I had to go with the touchdown score on the Green Wave defense. Linebacker Tyler Grubbs, excellent player there for the Green Wave. 10 tackles, 6 solos, and a 21-yard fumble return for a touchdown. That was Tulane's first score of the game, actually. Virginia Tech minus 12.5 covers easily. Over 44.5, 61. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, the grossest bowl every single year. I literally want to puke when I see the coach getting mayo dumped on him. But a win's a win, and Neil Brown said it right. I'll do this for a win. That's probably about it. But West Virginia, 30-10, trouncing over North Carolina. By the way, Virginia Tech, that was a lone wolf for me. Jimmy lost a lone wolf on the UNC pick there. And then Jimmy lost the lone wolf on UNC here. But Mountaineers, great game for them. No Drake May for UNC. It was close early. West Virginia pulled away in the second half, though. Garrett Green was pretty good, 12 of 24, 50%, 228, 1 touchdown, 9 carries for 64 yards. The legs paramount for Green in this one. Connor Harrell got the start for the Tar Heels, 18 of 27, 66.7%, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 17 carries for 25 yards. Running back O'Marion Hampton for the Heels led the game in rushing, just behind Garrett Green. 19 carries, 62 yards, 3 catches for 7 yards. Leading the game in receiving was Mountaineers wide receiver Traylon Ray, 3 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. And then defensively, Got to go with Beanie Bishop Jr. for West Virginia. The corner, 8 tackles, 6 solos, and a 78-yard punt return touchdown. Versatility that gets you places in the league. West Virginia minus 3.5 covers easily under 61.5. The DirecTV Holiday Bowl, USC. How about the upset? No Caleb, no problem. 42-28 blowout of number 15 Louisville. And I tweeted out about this, but I thought it was super ironic. This was the DirecTV Holiday Bowl played on Fox when you can't get Fox on DirecTV currently. Just fantastic. It's great timing. So anyways, Miller Moss balled for Lincoln Riley in this one. 23 of 33, 69.7%, 372 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 2 carries for 13 yards. Louisville quarterback Jack Plummer struggled. Ultra efficient, 21-25. That's 84%. But just 141 yards. Also had a fumble in that one. Louisville running back Isaac Guerendo, though, did not struggle, and they should have used him more. 23 carries, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 receptions for 42 yards. Excellent day for the Wisconsin transfer there. USC wide receiver Taj Washington, 1 yard short of 100, 7 catches, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns, leading the game in receiving. His teammate Jacoby Lane, also 2 scores, 3 catches, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. And defensively, got to go with Louisville defensive back Quincy Riley, 4 tackles, all of them solos, 1 tackle for loss, 3 pass deflections, and a pick. USC plus 4.5 wins outright, over 56.5. 70 that game. TaxAct Texas Bowl, number 20, Oklahoma State, 31-23 over Texas A&M. Alan Bowman was fantastic for the Cowboys in this one. 34 of 49, 69.4%, 402, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. For Texas A&M, they started Jalen Henderson, got hurt after a couple plays, after one play, actually. Marcel Reed into the game, struggled, but put up a lot of yards in a close one against the top 25 ranked team. 20 of 33 for Reed, 60.6%, 361, 1 pick, 10 carries for 29 yards, and a rushing score. Ollie Gordon, of course, had a 100-yard game in this one. Should have rode him more, as the announcers kept saying. But 27 carries for Gordon, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches for 4 yards there. Leading the game in receiving was Oklahoma State wide receiver Rashad Owens, 10 receptions, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Him and his teammate Brennan Presley, just massive nights. Presley, 16 catches, 152 yards, and a 34-yard completion, albeit. Texas A&M also had a 100-yard receiver, Ja'Day Walker, 8 catches, 137 yards by himself. But yeah, that Rashad Owens made some fantastic catches downfield, and Presley was just a PPR monster. 26 receptions, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns combined for Owens and Presley in this game. Defensively, I got to go with the top guy there. Texas A&M linebacker Sam Matthews, 14 tackles, 11 of them solos, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a pick. Oklahoma State, minus 4.5. They covered under 55.5. Yesterday, we had the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. Boston College with the upset, 23-14 over number 24 SMU at Fenway Park in Boston. And by the way, Wasabi, the sponsor, is not like wasabi with like sushi. It's a tech company or something like that. Just so everyone knows, because I didn't until I saw the commercial. Anyways, SMU's quarterback Kevin Jennings, 24 of 48, 50%, 191, 1 touchdown, 10 carries for 51 yards and a fumble. Thomas Castellanos, though, the youngster for the Eagles, excellent fourth quarter. His 2 scores in the fourth led the Eagles to the win here. 11 of 18, 61.1%, 102, 1 pick, 21 carries, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns. mention those two scores. Big day on the ground for Castellanos. BC running back Kai Robichaux led the game in rushing outside of Castellanos. 13 carries, 89 yards, a touchdown. 2 catches for 18 yards. Leading the game in receiving was SMU's wide receiver Jake Bailey. 6 catches, 54 yards. And defensively, I'm going to go with BC linebacker Cam Arnold. 6 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Boston College plus 13.5 wins that outright. Under 48.5. Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, another baseball stadium game played at Yankee Stadium. Rutgers getting the win, 31-24. First time they've ever beaten Miami. Excellent game by Greg Schiano and co. Ja'Cory Brown was the starter for the Hurricanes in this one. 20 of 31, 64.5%, 181, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 15 carries, 57 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Gavin Wims sat Scarlet Knights starter, 7 of 15, 46.7%, 84 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. The story of the game, though, for Rutgers was Kyle Monangai, as it has been most of the year. 25 carries, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches for 17 yards to bat. Excellent game for Hurricanes wide receiver Xavier Restrepo. 11 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. And defensively, 2 guys here. Rutgers linebacker Mohamed Toure, 8 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. And, of course, Rutgers defensive back Timmy Ward with the blocked punt recovered in the end zone for a touchdown. Rutgers minus 2.5 covers, over 40.5. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, probably my favorite bowl this year. Number 25, Kansas State, 28-19 over number 18, NC State. Avery Johnson was just electric. 14 of 31, 45.2%, 178, 2 touchdowns, 7 carries for 71 yards and a rushing score. He is super fast, probably fastest player on their team, as one person said during the game. For NC State, Brennan Armstrong, the 5th-year quarterback in his last game of his college career, 14 of 28, 50%, 164, 1 pick, 17 carries, 121 yards, a touchdown. Big numbers on the ground for Armstrong in this one. Kansas State running back DJ Giddens led the game in rushing, however, 28 carries, 151 yards, a touchdown, and a 37-yard receiving score as well. Leading the game in receiving was NC State wide receiver Kevin Concepcion, 7 catches, 72 yards, 3 carries for 23 yards as well. This kid's going to be a stud. I'm telling you now. Just keep out for Kevin Concepcion. Keep watching him. And defensively, I'm going to go with NC State safety Sean Brown, 7 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 pass deflections. Kansas State minus 3.5 covered, under 47.5 by the hook. And finally, the Valero Alamo Bowl, number 14 Arizona, 38-24 over number 12 Oklahoma. This game was crazy. Oklahoma was down 13-0. They came back, scored 24 straight to make it 24-13. And then all Arizona does is turn Oklahoma over multiple, and I'm talking multiple times. I believe they got 6 turnovers in this game on defense, 3 fumbles, 3 picks, and they scored the last 25 of the game to win this one going away. Jackson Arnold, his first start of his career, 26 of 45, 57.8%, 361, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 11 carries for 38 yards and a fumble. Noah Fafita was fantastic. 24 of 38, 63.2%, 354, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Oklahoma running back Gavin Salchuk over 100 in this one, 15 carries, 134 yards, touchdown, 3 catches for 42 yards. And the wide receivers, Arizona, these guys are electric playmakers all the way around. Wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan, 10 catches, 160 yards. Jacob Cowing, 7 catches, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those guys, crazy good. And defensively, got to go with the guy that scored a touchdown. Arizona safety Gunnar Maldonado, 9 tackles, 7 solos, a pick, and 2 fumble recoveries. One of them returned 87 yards for a touchdown. Just excellent performance there by the Arizona defense and Maldonado individually. Arizona minus 2.5 covered, over 58.5, 62. And the Thursday night game last night, the Browns crushing the Jets 37-20. Joe Flacco, dude, this guy is, I don't even know how he's doing it at how old he is, 38, 39 years old. 19-29, 65.5%, 309, 3 touchdowns and a pick. This is crazy. Crazy good. Trevor Siemian, the starter for New York in this one, 32 of 45, 71.1%, 261, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 4 carries for 13 yards. Jets running back Breece Hall late in the game in rushing, 13 carries, 84 yards, 9 receptions, 42 yards, a touchdown on 9 targets. The receiving numbers for Breece Hall have been just ridiculous over the last 2 weeks. I think he had 12 receptions last week, 9 this week, like 25 total targets the last 2 games. Browns running back Jerome Ford, 2 touchdown night for him, 12 carries, 64 yards on the ground, and then receiving, he caught 2 balls, both were touchdowns, 57 yards combined with those 2 scores. Browns tight end David Njoku leading the game in receiving, 6 catches, 134 yards on 8 targets and a fumble. 10 targets for wide receiver Garrett Wilson on the Jets side, caught 5 for 50. And defensively, the 2 touchdown scores on defense have to be the defensive players of the game. Brown safety Ronnie Hickman, 4 tackles, 3 solos, a pass deflection, and a 30-yard pick 6. And then Jets linebacker Jermaine Johnson, 3 tackles, all of them solos, 1 pass deflection, and a 37-yard pick 6. Browns covered minus 6.5 easily, over 33.5 by themselves, 57 in that game. Who said it was going to be a defensive game? I don't know. College football news, transfer portal here. Entering into it, Utah running back Jaquindon Jackson, Troy wide receiver Jabrae Barber, Toledo running back Penny Boone. That is a big one. Colorado State quarterback Clay Millen, Cal wide receiver Jeremiah Hunter, Cal quarterback Sam Jackson V. He has committed to Auburn, but as a wide receiver. So there you go, Auburn. Furman quarterback Tyler Huff in the portal. Florida offensive lineman Micah Maskua. And Louisville wide receiver Amari Huggins Bruce, all in the portal there. Returning, Iowa getting a massive part of their defense back. Linebacker Jay Higgins announcing he is returning for 2024. And I know there's also the possibility that they get both of their starting linebackers back, Nick Jackson as well, the former App State transfer. Draft declarations. Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman is going to the draft in 2024. Excellent receiver, possibly even first-round pick there. And 2 Senior Bowl accepted invites, Kentucky running back Ray Davis, who played today despite in accepting his invite to Senior Bowl, and Georgia State linebacker John Trey Hunter, both going to Mobile. United Football League news. The Houston Gamblers, they have re-signed defensive end Chris Odom, the 2022 USFL Defensive Player of the Year, back with the Gamblers. The rich just keep getting richer. The Birmingham Stallions, they have signed Pittsburgh Maulers linebacker Chiava Tizzino. This guy was electric, made plays all over the field, turnover machine as well. Can do everything from covering to stopping the run to blitzing. That's just ridiculous that they're going to have him and probably Scooby Wright back on that defense. Arlington Renegades, they signed quarterback Holton Ahlers, former 7th-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks. The DC Defenders, they signed former Ohio State defensive back Garyon Conley and first-round pick of the Raiders. And how about a coaching change for the San Antonio Brahmas? they are hiring Houston Roughnecks head coach Wade Phillips as their new head coach. Hines Ward on the way out there. NFL news, the Washington Commanders, they announced they are starting Jacoby Brissett this week. Have more on Brissett in a minute. Giants, they're going to start Tyrod Taylor after his good performance in the second half against Philadelphia last week. Broncos, they are benching quarterback Russell Wilson, starting Jarrett Stidham this week. And this is all about money. Russell Wilson guaranteed $37 million in salary next year, but he is guaranteed $39 million additional if he cannot pass a physical in March. And just to show what happened, we have the full roundup of the Russell Wilson trade here. So the Broncos, obviously, they got Russell Wilson and a 2022 fourth-round pick. That ended up being a Yoma Owuzurike. And the Seahawks, they made out like thieves in this one. They got Drew Lock, who just led them to a comeback win over the Eagles 2 weeks ago. They got Noah Fant, who has been a key part of their offense in the tight end position. Shelby Harris, I believe, no longer on the team there. But they got a 2022 first-round pick. That ended up being Charles Cross, their left tackle. 2022 second-round pick. That ended up being Boye Mafe, who is one of their best pass rushers. 2022 fifth-round pick, Tyreek Smith. He is, I believe, no longer on the team. 2023 first-round pick. That ended up being fifth overall, turning into Devin Witherspoon, the all-rookie corner, and up for Defensive Rookie of the Year this year. And they also got a 2023 second-round pick, number 37 overall this year, ended up being defensive end Derek Hall, who's having a decent rookie season as well. So, yeah, I would say that the Seahawks won that one. And by the way, the Irish, they have just officially won 40-8. 40-8 in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Back to the general news here. The Packers, they have suspended corner Jair Alexander for this week's game against the Vikings. Conduct detrimental to the team. He crashed the captain's meeting at midfield at the coin toss last week in Carolina and almost cost them a possession, saying they wanted to play defense first and not defer. So we will not see Justin Jefferson versus Jair Alexander this week. And the Vikings, speaking of that game, they are starting rookie quarterback Jaren Hall, turning to the rookie in that one. Nick Mullins to the bench, joining former starter Josh Dobbs as well. We have the Hall of Fame finalists announced this week. Defensive back Eric Allen played with the Eagles 88-94, the Saints 95-97, and the Oakland Raiders 98-01. Defensive end Jared Allen, Chiefs 04-07, Vikings 08-13, Bears 14-15, and the Panthers in 15 as well. Offensive tackle Willie Anderson, Bengals 96-07, and the Ravens in 08. Offensive lineman Jari Evans, the Saints 06-16, and the Packers in 2017. Defensive end Dwight Freeney, the Colts in 02-12, San Diego Chargers 13-14, the Cardinals in 15, the Falcons in 16, and then the Lions and Seahawks in 2017. Tight end Antonio Gates played with both the San Diego and LA Chargers 03-18. Defensive back Rodney Harrison, San Diego Chargers 94-02, and the Patriots 03-08. Punt returner, kick returner, and wide receiver Devin Hester, Bears 06-13, Falcons 14-15, and the Ravens and Seahawks in 2016. The wide receiver Torrey Holt, St. Louis Rams 99-08, and the Jags in 09. Wide receiver Andre Johnson, the Texans 03-14, the Colts in 15, and the Titans in 16. Defensive end Julius Peppers, Panthers 02-09, Bears 10-13, Packers 14-16, and the Panthers once again in 17-18. Running back Fred Taylor, Jags 98-08, and the Patriots 09-2010. Wide receiver Reggie Wayne, Colts 01-14. Linebacker Patrick Willis, 49ers 07-14. And safety Darren Woodson, Cowboys 92-03. So my 5, I think that I am going to pick out of that. Now, it's making me feel old because these are a lot of guys that I watched growing up. I think the 5 that I am going to go with are, first off, Antonio Gates. Obviously, he is one of the best tight ends ever to do it. I think I have 3 out of 5 like solidified out of the 15, and it's Antonio Gates. Devin Hester, I believe, definitely deserves to be in. The best returner in NFL history, most return touchdowns in NFL history, Devin Hester has. So, yeah, he definitely deserves to be in there. And then I think Julius Peppers as well, high up on the sacks list all time. I think he should get a shot there. Probably the next guy I'll go with is offensive tackle Willie Anderson, key part of those 90s and early 2000s Bengals team, also a key part of the Ravens 08 team as well. And then the fifth one's tough. It's tough to look at guys like Darren Woodson, Torrey Holt, and Eric Allen, because I didn't watch those guys a lot. Obviously, I was really young, never saw Eric Allen play. I don't remember Darren Woodson playing. Torrey Holt, I did watch a little bit of him at the end of his career, but not during the early part of the greatest show on turf there in St. Louis. So I don't know. The fifth guy is kind of tough. Now, they don't have to pick 5, I don't believe. I think 5 is like the max that they can do, but I think it's nice to pick 5 so you don't have guys getting shuffled back into the pack. So I think the fifth guy I'm going to go with is probably just Dwight Freeney. I think the patented spin move would be where I would go. It's a tough one between him. I think it's him. Patrick Willis and Torrey Holt for me. Those are the 3 that I'm kind of in between as the fifth guy for my Hall of Fame class from the finalists. Torrey Holt, like I said, a part of those greatest show on turf teams in the early 2000s with the Rams. And then Reggie Wayne, part of all the great Colts teams with Peyton Manning in the 2000s and 2010s. So those are the modern era finalists, and they will join the senior finalists getting voted on. Senior finalists are linebacker Randy Gradishar, played with the Broncos 74-83. Defensive tackle Steve McMichael, the Patriots in 80, Bears 81-93, and the Packers in 94. And then wide receiver Art Powell, played with the Eagles in 59, the New York Titans in 60-62, the Oakland Raiders 63-66, the Bills in 67, and the Vikings in 68. And then the also have the coach contributor finalists, which is head coach Buddy Parker, co-head coach of the Chicago Cardinals in 49, the Lions head coach from 51-56, and the Steelers head coach from 57-64. All right, let's get to the Week 17 playoff clinching scenarios, starting with the AFC. The Ravens, they can clinch the AFC North and the number 1 overall seed in the AFC playoffs with a win against the Dolphins this week in Baltimore. If, however, they would tie the Dolphins, they can that would still clinch them the North. It just would not clinch them the number 1 seed just yet. The Jags, they can clinch the AFC South with a win and losses by the Colts and the Texans. The Chiefs can clinch the AFC West with a win or a tie, or have the Raiders and Broncos lose or tie. The Dolphins, they can clinch the AFC East with a win or tie, or have the Bills lose or tie. By the way, Jags, they are playing at home against the Panthers. Colts, they are at home against the Raiders. Texans at home against the Titans. Chiefs, they are playing at home against the Bengals. Raiders, like I mentioned, on the road at Indy. Broncos, they are hosting the Chargers. Dolphins, like I said, in the Ravens one, they are in Baltimore this week. And then the Bills, they are hosting the Patriots in Buffalo. And speaking of the Bills, they are the only current wild card team that can clinch a berth because the Browns already clinched their berth last night. So they would be the second wild card team currently to clinch a berth if they can get it done. They need a lot of help, though. They need a win and a Steelers loss or tie combined with a Bengals loss or tie, Jags loss or tie, Texans and Colts losses or ties. Or they can win, have the Bengals lose or tie, and then have the Jags lose or tie, or have the Texans and Colts lose or tie. They can also tie the Patriots, and then that brings in a whole other host of scenarios where the Steelers lose or tie, and then the Steelers and Bengals lose, and then either the Jags lose, or the Texans lose or tie, or the Colts lose or tie. The next couple scenarios is if the Steelers and Jags lose, and then they would also need a Texans loss or tie or a Colts loss or tie. They could tie, have the Steelers, Texans, and Colts all lose. They could tie and have the Bengals and Jags lose, and then have the Texans lose or tie, or the Colts lose or tie. And the final one is the Bills tie the Patriots and have the Bengals, Texans, and Colts all lose. A lot of scenarios for the Bills there. And for those, the Steelers in Seattle, Bengals I mentioned in Kansas City, Jags hosting the Panthers, Texans hosting the Titans, Colts hosting the Raiders. Those are the 4 teams involved in their scenarios, or 5 teams. As far as the NFC, the 49ers can clinch the number 1 seed in the NFC playoffs with a win and losses by the Lions, who are in Dallas on tomorrow night, and the Eagles, which they are hosting the Cardinals on Sunday. The Eagles, by the way, they can clinch the NFC East with a win and a Cowboys loss or tie to the Lions on tomorrow night, or they can tie and have the Cowboys lose. The Bucks, they can win the NFC South with a win or tie and have the Falcons lose in Chicago. The Rams, they can clinch a playoff berth with a win and have the Seahawks lose to the Steelers, or a win and the Packers and Vikings tie. The Seahawks would also clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Packers-Vikings tie. IR moves, the Vikings, they placed tight end TJ Hawkinson, who tore his ACL and MCL, and linebacker DJ Wonnum, who tore his quad, both on IR. The Patriots, they placed running back Ramondre Stevenson on IR. He is done for the year with an ankle injury. The Commanders, they placed running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. on IR. And the Cardinals did the same with wide receiver Marquise Brown, dealing with a heel injury. Update on the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Memphis scoring on their first possession of the second half, 29-13. The Tigers up on the Cyclones. IR return. The Bills, they activated corner Kyer Elam, so getting some help in the secondary there. The Bengals also getting some help activating corner Cam Taylor-Britt off of IR. Jags, they designated offensive lineman Cam Robinson to return, so hopefully Trevor Lawrence comes back and has some added protection with Robinson. Injuries. Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, he has clear concussion protocol, and he will play this week. Start. The Broncos, wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr., he has a hamstring injury. Not sure what his status is for this week's game against the Chargers. Ins and outs, laundry list here. Lions, safety CJ Gardner-Johnson, coming back from a torn pec. He is out. Practice window was open this week, but he will not make his return yet. Dolphins, big loss. Wide receiver Jalen Waddle dealing with a high ankle sprain. He is out this week in Baltimore for a monstrous matchup against the Ravens. Commanders, quarterback Jacoby Brissett. I mentioned he is the starter this week for Washington. Well, he has a hamstring injury. He is questionable. If he cannot go, it will be Sam Howell once again. For the Steelers, quarterback Kenny Pickett still coming back from his ankle surgery. He is officially listed as questionable, but Mason Rudolph will get the start in Seattle. Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. dealing with a concussion. He has clear concussion protocol and should play this weekend after missing last one. For the Colts, however, they will not have running back Zach Moss. He is out. Titans rookie quarterback Will Levis having a high ankle sprain. He is cleared, expected to start this week in Houston. The Packers wide receiver Jaden Reed. He will play. Good for them. However, safety Darnell Savage and wide receiver Dontavian Wicks, they are both questionable. Wide receiver Christian Watson with a hamstring injury and linebacker Devondre Campbell, they are both doubtful. For the Chargers, wide receivers Keenan Allen, Joshua Palmer, and defensive end Joey Bosa are all out this week. So big losses for LA once again there. Jags quarterback Trevor Lawrence dealing with a shoulder injury. He is out. First career game missed in the NFL due to injury. Raiders running back Josh Jacobs with a thigh injury. He is questionable, as is Bears tight end Cole Kmet dealing with a knee injury. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco with a concussion and shoulder injury. He is also questionable. And the Broncos wide receiver Courtland Sutton has a concussion. He is out. Couple signings this week. The Steelers continuing to try to find someone to play linebacker for them. They have signed linebacker Jalen Smith, former Cowboys player there. Patriots, they claimed corner Marco Wilson off waivers from the Cardinals, former Cardinals draft pick. I think there was like 3 other teams that tried to claim him. So popular name on the waiver wire. Then the 49ers, the rich just get richer. They signed Chargers defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day after they released him last week. One workout to mention, the Bills. They worked out offensive tackle Lyle Collins, the former Bengals and Cowboys starter there. See if Buffalo brings him in for added offensive line help for Josh Allen. XFL to NFL, the Steelers. They signed St. Louis Battlehawks defensive back Nate Meters. Excellent player there for the Battlehawks. Hopefully he gets a chance there with Pittsburgh. And then USFL to NFL, the 49ers. They worked out New Jersey Generals punter Brock Miller. Big leg there. Led the USFL in punt net average. All right, college football pick standings. Yeah. It's not great last week. Logan and Jimmy tying for the lead there. I was one game back. 0 for 1 on my lone wolf. Utah State got rocked by Georgia State 45-22. Jimmy went 1-1 in his lone wolves. He got Minnesota right over Bowling Green on Tuesday. However, he lost UNLV against Kansas Tuesday night. So, Logan is still way up there, 20 or 18 up on myself. I am holding strong. It's Jimmy's one game back. I need to keep him back there. Let's get to the college football picks this week. New Year's 6 in college football playoffs. Starting tomorrow, noon Eastern, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, number 11 Ole Miss against number 10 Penn State. Of course, I was going to pick Penn State. Happy that Jimmy wanted to join me. And Logan, I'm going with the Rebels here of Ole Miss. It should be a close game. Should be a close game, but I think that the Penn State defense ultimately will get it done. I'm not sure if Manny Diaz is coaching in this game or not, or if it's going to be Tom Allen. Whoever it is, I think the defense will still get it done. Penn State, as far as I know, doesn't have a ton of opt-outs. Neither does Ole Miss, really, but this should be a really solid game in Atlanta, and hopefully Penn State can pull it out here. Mentioned this one's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Falcons play in Atlanta. 50.5 is the total here. I like the under. Actually, no, I'm going with the over. I know I said Penn State defense, but I believe that Drew Aller. Drew Lock plays in the NFL. Drew Aller will be able to get some points on the Ole Miss defense. 12 p.m. ESPN and ESPN Plus. And Memphis pouring it on there in Memphis, their home stadium there. 36-13. They scored again. My lone wolf, Iowa State, is going down. Hopefully not this lone wolf. Hopefully this lone wolf does not go down. The Trans Perfect Music City Bowl. And here, Auburn. The Tigers 6.5-point favorites against Maryland. The Terrapins. Go Terps, baby. Go Dave Mew Eyes. Talia Tagovailoa has to go out a winner in his college career. So I'm going with the Terps here. Have been on them for a couple years now with Talia, and let's see Mike Loxley get this 8th win on the season here and send Talia out as a winner. This one's played in Nashville at Nissan Stadium where the Titans play. Total is 47.5 here. I'm liking the under for some reason. 2 p.m. ABC and ESPN Plus. Capital One Orange Bowl, number 6 Georgia. Go Dogs, 20-point favorites against number 5 Florida State. The ACC champions there. Played at Hard Rock Stadium, where the Dolphins play. And, this one went up to 20. It was 14, 15, 16 for a while. And then once they announced Tate Rodemaker was transferring, it skyrocketed to 20, as I expected it to do. I'm fine with that. Hopefully Georgia just crushes them and shuts them up, really, because they've been annoying little crybabies this whole time that they haven't been playing. So, anyways, 44.5 is the total here. I like the over. Georgia's going to score some points. 4 p.m. ESPN and ESPN Plus. Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, Toledo against Wyoming. The Cowboys getting 3.5 at home, or as the home team. And yeah, ride them. This one's played in Arizona at University of Arizona Stadium there. And I'm going with Wyoming because Toledo, I don't know who they're going to be playing. Like, Penny Boone just transferred, the all-MAC running back, MAC Offensive Player of the Year, I think he was. DeQuan Finn also in the transfer portal at quarterback. But I think they have a lot of other transfers as well. So I'm going with Craig Bull's team in Wyoming, the more consistent team on paper anyways. So I'm going with the Cowboys here as opposed to the MAC runners-up in Toledo. The total for this one is also 44.5. I am leaning on the under. 4:30 on CW Network. And on New Year's Day 2024, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Wisconsin against number 13 LSU, 10-point favorites for the Tigers. And of course, Logan's being a homer. Of course, I knew he was going to pick Wisconsin. Logan, the Badgers are not going to win this game with or without Jaden Daniels. LSU just has too much talent. Jaden Daniels not going to play in this game. It'll be Garrett Nussberger there, or whatever his name is. But I think LSU still has enough talent. They can go win this game even without Jaden Daniels against Wisconsin there. 55.5 is the total for this one. And I like the over. Let's score some points. 12 p.m. ESPN 2. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl, number 23, Liberty undefeated Flames against number 8 Oregon, 16.5-point favorite for the Ducks. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. Liberty, probably one of the weaker group of 5 teams we've had in the New Year's Six in recent memory. I know they're undefeated, but they've had some scares this year. And Oregon has just killed everyone except for Washington twice. So, yeah, I don't think there's going to be any issue with Bo Nix and the Ducks in this one. And they should get it done relatively easily against Jamie Chadwell and the Flames. The ReliaQuest Bowl, I forgot to mention, at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, where the Bucks play. This one at another NFL stadium, State Farm Stadium in Phoenix, where the Cardinals play. Total was 67.5 in this game. And let's hit the over. Why not? 1 p.m. on ESPN. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl and number 17 Iowa against number 21 Tennessee. 6-point favorites for the Vols. And, yeah, I'm going with the Hawkeyes. My boy Colin Schultz. I know he's driving back to Milwaukee right now, but give me the Hawkeyes. Why not? Why can't they beat the Tennessee Volunteers in this game? No Joe Milton for Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava getting his first start of his career. I'm not trusting the youngster. I know he's probably going to blow me up, but I like Iowa and that defense. Phil Parker winning the Broyles Award this year. Give me Iowa. $35.5 is total for this one. And we love to hit Iowa unders, so why not under for this game? 35.5. 1 p.m. on ABC. And here we go. College football playoff semifinal at the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential. Number 4, Alabama. Number 1, Michigan. The undefeated Big Ten champion versus the one-loss SEC champion, Michigan. The Wolverines getting 2 points in this game, and we are all on the Tide. Kind of surprised, but at the same time, not really. I heard them talking about this at the halftime of the Notre Dame game. Or actually, it was the halftime of the earlier game, Clemson and Kentucky. But Michigan does not have the explosive plays like Alabama does. And I think that is what's they're gonna struggle with. Also, down lineman Zach Zinter, who got injured last game, or actually got injured in the game against Ohio State. Not gonna have him, obviously, long-term torn ACL there. And we'll see how they play against the pass rush of Alabama. Dallas Turner on the edge, 9 sacks on the season. Him and Christian Braswell as well. So that's going to be the big issue in this one. Alabama defense against Michigan offense. I mean, Michigan also leads the country in points allowed per game, but I think that the dynamism of Jalen Milroe's legs will give them issues. And so I think that is going to be a big factor in this one. And that's why I'm picking the Tide like my counterparts here. This one's played at Camping World, or Citrus Bowl, by the way, Camping World Stadium in Orlando. This one at the Rose Bowl, where UCLA plays in Los Angeles. 44.5 is the total here. I am leaning on the under. I think it might be a close, low-scoring game. 5 p.m. on ESPN. And the one that I think more people are excited about, college football playoff semifinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl. Number 3, Texas. Number 2, Washington. The Horns, the one-loss Big 12 champ, getting 4 points as the road team against the undefeated Pac-12 champs in the last year of that league as it currently stands. Logan is going with Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies to win this one. Jimmy and I, we are hooking them, hook 'em horns. I've been on Texas all year. I said they were going to be a one-loss Big 12 champ at the beginning of the year, and here they are in the college football playoff, like I predicted. One of very few predictions that I got right, but you got to gloat the ones you get right, right? So, yeah, I love Texas. I think they are definitely the team I'm rooting for overall. Whoever wins this game, that's who I'm rooting for, anyways, because I hate the other two teams. But yeah, Texas, I think it's going to be the defense. That is the key unit in this game. Can the Texas defense stop the high-powered offense of Michael Penix Jr., the wide receivers, Rome Odunze, Jaquan McMillan, and I'm forgetting the third guy, but Dylan Johnson on the ground as well. I think Tavondre Sweat will have a big answer for Dylan Johnson. It's going to be the secondary. Can the secondary hold up against the wide receivers of Washington? You also got to remember Jack Westover in the middle, that tight end there for the Huskies also. So going to be a big task for that defense, but I think Steve Sarkisian has the coaching advantage in this one. I think the defense will make the plays they need to, get the stops when they need to, and Texas will go to the national championship for the first time since 2009. Hook 'em. 63.5 is the total here. I like the over. There's going to be points scored in this one. 8:45 p.m. on ESPN. NFL pick standings. Yeah, I won it. Back-to-back weeks, I believe I have won the pick standings. Yeah, I went 10-5 last week, won by a game. This week, I won by one game as well over Jimmy. Jimmy still leads Logan by 3. I am coming, however. I am just 6 back here, 2 weeks to go. And then we get to the playoffs. But regular season championship on the line still. Could still happen for me. It's long shot, but Logan has a better shot. But he's fumbling the ball. Look, he just gave up 2 games to Jimmy. He was 1 back last week, but now 3 back, like I said. And last week, Lone Wolves wise, Logan went 0-1. He lost the Texans against the Browns. I went 3-1. I got the Steelers right over the Bengals on Saturday. Lost the Panthers against the Packers. So close on that one. And then got the Jets right over the Commanders and the Ravens right over the 49ers. And then Jimmy went 2-1. He got the Bucks right over the Jags, Bears right over the Cardinals, and then he lost the Cowboys against the Dolphins. So this week is crazy, by the way. Just want to preface this. I have 7 Lone Wolves. Make or break time in week 17 for me here. So here we go. Lions at the Cowboys. Monday Night Football special on Saturday night. And we're starting off with one. Yeah, because I'm not picking the Cowboys, obviously. The Cowboys are undefeated at home. I understand that. They're on a 2-game losing streak. I understand that as well. But the Lions just won the NFC North for the first time in 30 freaking years since 1993. So, yes, give me Dan Campbell. Go eat some kneecaps in Dallas. Give the Eagles a chance to win the division on Sunday with a win. Yeah, let's go Lions. 52.5 is the total here. I'm leaning on the under. 8:15, ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Plus. And on Sunday, I mentioned the Eagles. The Cardinals at the Eagles. Birds getting 12 at home. And yeah, this one is the more scary one than the Giants game in week 18, even though we just beat the Giants by 8. Kyler Murray's legs scare me. However, not having Marquise Brown, I think, is a big deal. Trey McBride has really been their number 1 receiver the last couple of weeks without Hollywood, but that's also a big issue because the Eagles linebackers are the weakest point of the defense, probably. So we'll see how they defend it under Matt Patricia's play calling. But yeah, of course, I'm going with the Eagles. All these picks that I'm doing this week are all homer picks to help my teams out in terms of playoffs and whatnot. But yeah, give me the Eagles at home as a big favorite, and they win this one. Total is 48.5. I am leaning on the under. Continuing with the 1 o'clock games, Panthers at the Jags. Yeah, Jimmy knows how I feel about the Panthers and how many times we've been hurt. Now, I was so close last week to predicting the Panthers upsetting the Packers in Charlotte. They go on the road to Jacksonville this week. No Trevor Lawrence. Big deal for this game. CJ Beathard gets the start. Now, he did look good against the Bengals when he had to play for Trevor earlier in the year. But I'm going with Bryce Young, coming off his career best day of his rookie season last week, throwing for 300 yards, first career 300-yard performance. Excellent day. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think they're going to give CJ Beathard some issues on defense, and the Carolina Panthers get their third win of the season. 37.5 is the total on this one. I think in order for the Panthers to win, they needed to be lower scoring. So I'm going to go with the under, even though last week they scored 30 and still lost. Yep. Lone Wolf again. Dolphins at the Patriots. I should keep hitting the button because, like I said, 7 Lone Wolves this weekend on the NFL slate. And this is all about my preseason prediction. Dolphins were my AFC champion. And I think in order to do that, they have to get the number 1 seed and get the playoffs through Miami, just like the Eagles have to get the number 1 and get the NFC playoffs through Philly. The Dolphins getting a close win, their first win over a team above 500 last week in Miami against the Cowboys, was not great, especially when they got to the red zone, had to kick 5 field goals on the night. But Tyreek Hill, that was his first game back after missing 2 straight, had 99 receiving yards. I think he pops off in this one. Ravens not going to have Kyle Hamilton. He is out for the year, torn ACL. So I think that's going to open a little bit up. They're going to need other players, though, without Jalen Waddle. So you're going to have to look at Robbie Chosen. You're going to have to look at Cedric Wilson, Braxton Berrios, and those kind of guys. And even Durham Smythe, the tight end in the middle of the field as well. And the running backs, Devon Chan and Raheem Mostert in the passing game should be utilized by Coach McDaniel to help out Tua in the absence of Waddle if they take Tyreek away the whole game. So with that being said, it's going to be tough. But the Dolphins defense, man, I think that's that's one thing that people don't talk about a lot with this Dolphins team. They have dudes on this Dolphins defense. I talked about it previewing the Cowboys game last week. The Dolphins defense is almost as good as the Ravens defense. I mean, they just give up more points. Bradley Chubb, like I said, playing out of his mind. Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins inside. Andrew Van Ginkel on the other side of Chubb. You got Duke Riley at linebacker. You got Ramsey and Howard at the corner spots. Javon Holland, he has been out at safety, but Brandon Jones playing well like he always does on the back end. So I think it's going to be a close game, but give me the Dolphins to go into Baltimore, upset the Ravens, and have a chance in Week 18 for a win and number 1 seed in possibility because they clinched the division with this one. But they need to win Week 18 unless the Ravens lose to Pittsburgh to get the number 1 seed still. Total in this one, 46.5. And I'm going with the under. Defensive game. Patriots at the Bills. No lone wolves here, y'all. As much as I would like to see the Patriots win this one. But yeah, I'm going with the Bills, as is everyone here. Shouldn't have an issue with the Patriots, even though they did score a win in Denver on Christmas Eve night. That was a shocker. Bailey Zappi accomplished, but Buffalo, they are playing excellently right now. Had a little scare against the Chargers last Saturday. Shouldn't have an issue this one at home against New England. And total on this game, 40.5. I am leaning on the over. AutoZone Liberty Bowl update, 36-20 Iowa State got a touchdown there. Memphis, though, at the 20-yard line of Iowa State, looking to score more and put this game away here. Congrats to Seth Hennigan. Memphis school record for passing yards, 10,325 career passing yards. He's coming back next year for that Tigers offense. Big 3rd and 1 here for both teams. And it looks like Memphis will not get it. Oh, but there is a flag. Looks like no flag. No flag. So 4th and 1 there. Big decision for Memphis. See what they do there. Up by 16. Anyways, next NFL game here. Falcons at the Bears. Yeah. Lone Wolf in Chicago. I actually am going to root for the Falcons probably because I have the Bears under wins on the year. So I need the Bears to lose one more out of the last 2 in order to secure their under 7.5 wins. So hopefully it can either come this week or next week against the Packers in Lambeau, but hopefully it does this week, even though, the Falcons are a team that played well under Taylor Heineke last week against the Colts. Justin Fields, though, the Bears also getting a big win against the Cardinals last week. And as Peter Schrager, go check out his Twitter feed, scroll down to see the Bears' ways to get into the playoffs. It's kind of crazy that they do have a chance. So it's like 1%, but they do technically still have a chance to make the playoffs. Do the Chicago Bears. The total on this one's 37.5, and I am going with the under. Raiders at the Colts, and here Logan goes with a lone wolf. Indianapolis Colts. He is on Minshew Mania. Tough loss last week in Atlanta with an opportunity to take the divisional lead with the Jags and Texans both losing. However, though, the Colts, I just do not think they're my bad. It's the 3.5-point favorite for the Colts at home. The Raiders are underdogs. But, Jimmy and I are going with the Raiders. I think Antonio Pierce and those guys have done an excellent job. 4-3, I think they are in their games. But, yeah, the Raiders have Aiden O'Connell playing very well. The defense is also excellent win against Kansas City on Christmas Day. And they still have a shot at the playoffs, just like the Bears do. There's a little bit better of a shot, but they can also win the AFC West still somehow. But, yeah, Jimmy and I with the Raiders. Logan lone wolfing on the Colts there. Titans, AFC South battle, Titans at the Texans. Yeah, this is for the Steelers. Totally for the Steelers here. Titans. Will Levis is back. Gives them a lot more upside on offense with Levis than Tannehill. Even though they've struggled on the road, they did win their last road game. I believe that was their last road game in Miami. So, yeah, give me the Titans, who just lost to the Texans close 2 weeks ago against Case Keenum. Now they're going to play against C.J. Stroud in Houston. So I think it's time for payback for the Titans, and they can get this one done, help the Steelers out there with getting a playoff team to lose that's currently in front of them. 43.5 is the total on this one, and I am leaning on the under. Get that Titans defense to tighten up. Love the puns. Rams at the Giants. We're all over LA in this one. Tyrod Taylor getting the start for New York. However, Matthew Stafford is playing out of his mind right now. The Rams defense also a lot of young players on there, but they are also playing well. Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp, tremendous wide receivers on the outside, and Kyron Williams out of the backfield is fantastic as well. So the Rams team has everything going for them. Need a win and a Seahawks loss in order to get a playoff berth or a win and a giant Packers Vikings tie on Sunday Night Football. 43.5 is the total here. I am leaning on the over. Big NFC South matchup. Saints at the Bucks. Bucks can clinch the division with a win. However, and Jimmy thinks they will. Jimmy does think they will. He's been on the Bucks most of the year. However, I picked the Saints to win the NFC South, so as did Logan. So I am sticking with the Saints. Logan's with me. They did not look good last week, but we got to stick to our guns, Logan. Go into Tampa Bay, a team that's won 4 straight after starting 3-7 or 4-7. Get this thing done. Derek Carr, utilize Alvin Kamara. Chris Olave has to have a big game, and that Saints defense that has been vaunted has to play like the Saints defense, Dennis Allen. So get it done and go be the division leader heading into week 18. 42.5 is the total for this one. I like the under defensive performance in this one. Last 1 o'clock game, the 49ers at the Commanders. Yeah, of course. Yeah, man. I'm picking the Washington Commanders. I was hoping it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. I'm still hoping it is because I don't believe they're going to win with Sam Howell at under center, but if the veteran Brissett can get there, I think they'll have a chance. Double-digit home dogs. Yeah, why not? 12.5. It didn't work when I picked the Cardinals against the 49ers. However, this is trying to help the Eagles. A win and a 49ers loss will give the Eagles a 1-game lead and give them the number 1 seed for this weekend. And then they just need the Lions to lose week 18 or have the Lions lose in Dallas this week, whatever. But yeah, I think that sure, go win it, Ron Rivera, Jacoby Brissett. Total is 49.5. And in order for the Washington Commanders to win this, it has to go under that. 4:05 game here. The Steelers at the Seahawks. And this one was a close game. Pittsburgh Steelers. Second straight start for Mason Rudolph. Played just the perfect game in Pittsburgh last Saturday. And, another full week of prep to go against the Seahawks team that has been good despite not having Geno Smith and then having him back last week. It's got to be the defense for Pittsburgh. I think the offense hit a stride last week with the quarterback change, but we'll see if that can continue on the road. Long trip to Seattle. But, yeah, give me TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh defense to go into Seattle and get this one done, continue on their playoff path. 41.5 is the total on this one. I like under 17-13 Steelers win. 4:25 games, Bengals at the Chiefs, and we're all on Kansas City. Kind of surprised no one picked Cincinnati, but I think the Chiefs just will not lose after that debacle on Christmas Day against the Raiders at home. Everything is still out in front of them. They're still in a win-and-in scenario for the AFC West. Number 1 seed is not an option anymore, but they can still get the number 3 seed here in the playoffs and host the wild card game. But yeah, Bengals. This would help the Steelers out with the Bengals loss. So yeah, please. Even though the Steelers are ahead of the Bengals right now, just trying to eliminate all the competition for Pittsburgh to get in. 43.5 is the total on this one. I am leaning on the under. Chargers at the Broncos, AFC West matchup here. Broncos reeling after their Christmas Eve loss to the Patriots. We're all picking the Chargers. Russell Wilson benched. It's going to be Jarrett Stidham versus Easton Stick. And I think that's a big deal. And I think that's why we're all picking LA is because of the Jarrett Stidham thing. I think if it were still Russell Wilson, I would pick Denver. I'm just not trusting Stidham. Easton Stick played pretty well against the Bills last Saturday night. And I think the Chargers want to play spoiler end of the Broncos season this weekend. 36.5 is the total here. I'm leaning on the under. And the final game of Week 17, no Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, though, closing out the year of 2023. Packers at the Vikings. And Jimmy is picking against his team in one of the most critical games of their season. They are 1-point favorites at home, and I was going to pick them too. I was going to pick the Vikings when it was Nick Mullins against the Packers. However, the switch to rookie quarterback Darren Hall getting his second start of the year, first one ended prematurely with concussion early on. I just cannot trust the rookie in, like I said, the biggest spot of the season so far for Minnesota. Not going to trust that. I'm going to trust Jordan Love, who had a really solid game in Carolina, led them to a game-winning field goal there, and give the Packers. Plus, this solves two stones. This kills two birds, one stone here. Getting the Packers over 7.5 wins and getting the Vikings under 7.5 wins. Total for that one is 43.5. I am going with the over 820 on NBC. Best bets of the week, y'all. 3-0 last week. I tried to manifest it. I mentioned previous shows that, if I just went out, go 9 straight, I can finish with a winning record, 28, 25, and 1. Well, we got the first 3 that I needed. They were pretty easy to pick last week. Browns -2.5 at the Texans. I got the Lions -3 at the Vikings. And then the Dolphins -1 at home against the Cowboys. 3-0 on those ones. This week's were a lot harder to pick, except for the first one. The first one, love the Rams -5.5 at the Giants. That is the lock of the week, I think. So I think that one is fantastic pick there, especially if you can get it under 6 like it is there. The Bengals +7 at the Chiefs. Now, obviously, we picked the Chiefs, but I do think it's going to be a close game. Jake Browning and co., they've played well. So I think the Bengals will play well enough to get that thing to a cover. And then the Packers +1 at the Vikings. We all picked Green Bay going against a rookie quarterback. I think Rashawn Gary's going to have fun in that game against him, even despite no Jair Alexander. Lock standings. I moved up. Logan and I moved up. It was a 3-way tie on the lock standings. We were all 8-7 until this last week, where Logan and I moved up to 9-7. So it's maybe a 2-horse race with 2 weeks to go. But Logan got the Dolphins right over the Cowboys last week. I got the Lions over the Vikings. And Jimmy lost the Bengals against the Steelers, as he should have. Can't pick against the game that one of us is going to. So, yeah. And this week, we're all in lockstep here. Doom, lock it down. Rams against the Giants in MetLife. I think that was probably the easiest pick that stood out on the whole slate this weekend. Despite Tyrod Taylor and not Tommy DeVito starting, I still think the Rams are too good of a team that they should beat the Giants this week. Dog standings. Yeah, I went 2-0 last week. It was a great week last week overall on the picks. Got my first win outright since week 5. So let's see if we can keep it rolling. Get the 16 or get the 14, 20, and 2 on the year. I'm not even close to being in the mix to win it, but we'll see how Jimmy and Logan finish this thing out. Logan's still a 1-game lead. Logan lost the Jags +3 at the Bucks. Jimmy lost the Colts +2.5 at the Falcons. I got the Ravens +5 at the 49ers, right, winning outright last week. So here we go. This week, Logan is on the Chargers +3.5 at the Broncos. We all picked LA in that game, so should all be rooting for the Chargers there. I am going with the Steelers +3.5 at the Seahawks. Lone wolfing on that one. And I like it. I think Mason Rudolph can get it done in Seattle. And then Jimmy's going with the Raiders. Him and I are on Vegas. Logan lone wolfing the Colts +3.5 at Indy. And it's kind of funny. He picked the Colts last week against the Falcons, going against the Colts this week with the Raiders on his dog pick. And just to update you, the Liberty Bowl here, Iowa State has scored. They missed the 2-point conversion, so it's still a 2-score game, but it is 36-26 now in Memphis there. That is the show for today. Thank you all for watching. Next week, we'll talk Week 18 and college football playoff national championship game, as well as the FCS national championship game as well. South Dakota State, Montana in that one. We'll have all your game recaps, game previews as well, and all your NCAA and NFL news. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X, FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio, and TikTok at Football Addicts and Non. Thank you all for watching. We'll see y'all back in the new year, 2024, on Tuesday.